Hi, and welcome to Counter Narrative. Today we'll be looking at the woke's latest attack on Western culture. We have the case of Peter Dinklage, the amazing actor who played Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. Let's watch some lefty woke elitists talk about what we can and can't think.
This is a sort of kind of toxic, hot topic because there's a whole movement, isn't there, a revisionist movement to try and take away certain children's stories, whether that's from books or from films, from movie adaptations. And I loved Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs as a little boy. I think it was a cosy story. It was something that sort of caught your imagination. But I have a lot of sympathy for this. And it's a famous American actor who's a star in his own right.
He's the Game of Thrones guy? Oh, my, he's amazing. What's the name?
Peter Dinklage, he's an incredible actor.
What's the name of the character?
Oh,
Tyrone Lannister?
Yes.
No, is it? Anyway,
yes.
But
incredible.
Peter Dinklage is basically saying it's all very well for Snow White to catch up with modern times by having the first Latina American actress, a Colombian American actress, playing Snow White. But at the same time, they are basically regurgitating this trope, this stereotype about people with dwarfism. Now, when I was growing up, I didn't associate the dwarves in Snow White with real-life people with dwarfism. However, if you listen to some of the stories in this article, the tropes that are encouraged unintentionally, originally, of course, by Grimm's, are affecting the daily lives of people who do have dwarfism, and people go hi-ho, or whatever in the playground. So I have a lot of sympathy for what he's saying, but there'll be a big backlash if they cancel it.
And you get cool if you've got restricted growth, you get nicknamed dopey or bashful.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah, but what do you think? You've got sympathy with it? I don't know. I don't know what I think here. This is one of the most important stories of the year, as far as I can tell, seriously.
I know. I mean, I did a piece on a lady last week who was a lecturer, and she was the lady who had the midget gems. She said that she made Marks and Spencer's change the name of those sweets because it was insulting to people with dwarfism. I'm not sure it is really, and I'm not entirely sure this is. But I guess we have to be guided by the people who have gone through life and have
so
been.
I wonder if that's it. But then we're in a one complaint culture. You know, if I say, look, that film is offensive to people called Vine, they've got to take it off the air.
It's a bit different. Come on, Jeremy.
It's not one complaint either. I mean, there's a lady who's quoted here called Rhonda Cutmore, and she is of the Restricted Growth Association. She's also complained about it.
Well, she's the one
that's what I say about the stories. They're very moving stories. When I read bedtime stories to my godson Oscar, the books that I read him are very different to the books that I was brought up with. The books that I was brought up with were just full of white people, right? Now we have a very different society to the one we had in the early 80s. We're much more mixed, and books represent that.
Children's classic novel, story, cartoon. We're going to change everything to accommodate. I don't know.
Well, Enid Blyton's been rewritten.
The classics still exist. They're still there. We're just giving different versions of them, I think.
I don't know what. So, would you pull the film? Would you pull the dwarves?
I wouldn't pull the film.
Would you?
I wouldn't, but I would now that it's in production. But I have to say, I wouldn't have commissioned the redoing of it in the first place. Why? Why reopen that? Why not think about the impact you're having on real people?
Well, listen, I went to see Snow White as a pantomime, right?
Yes, the woke version.
No, this was 5 years ago, so we were at that time we weren't woke. So at some point, this thing starts hi-ho, and in come 12 dwarfs.
Well, there was this...
And they're obviously... 12 people with restricted growth. And they're obviously... That's their job. You know, they're actors who play the 12. And
what's going to happen to them?
Well, I felt in two minds. I thought this is...
This is a bit like the Grid Girls thing, wasn't it? Do you remember in Formula One when they were sort of banned? And a lot of people said, well, why shouldn't we be Grid Girls? Well, I don't know whether you remember the World Cup Rugby 2011 in New Zealand. Some of the England players went to a dwarf-throwing pub.
Terrible.
So people were making money out of it themselves. Doesn't make it right.
What needs to be changed is people's ignorance and attitudes towards dwarfism. That's what needs to be.
The parents have some responsibility, don't they? If you take your kids to watch this film, for goodness sake, tell the children that this is not to be read across to real-life people with dwarfism.
Oh, hopefully they don't, but I did interview a man with restricted growth or whatever we say, and he had been outside a pub and a drunk man had picked him up and thrown him into a skip.
Well,
And I mean, it's just very, very nasty.
The woman who got the name of Midget Gems change, she said she was in a bar once waiting to be served, and a bloke just lifted her out of the way and to push in front of her. Which, you know, you can see why she's furious.
Well, you
with the
can,
world.
you can.
So a few salient points in this clip. One inadvertently from Matthew Stadlen, the epitome of the woke left, when he mentions the F1 grid girls being banned. So I'm an F1 fan and I remember that happening and genuinely thinking, well, what about their jobs? Those models surely depended on them jobs and the networking it brought, etc. And here we have a story in the Mail Online where other dwarfs have absolutely called out Peter Dinklage for this and his hypocrisy through basically making his name through playing a dwarf in Game of Thrones who was the butt of ridicule, etc., and made out to be a monster in the show in certain circumstances. And they've also raised the point that they will be financially hit by this, especially in Britain with pantomimes, etc. So Jamie Vine in this clip is absolutely absurd when he says he slips by saying 12 dwarfs and then he says 12 people with restricted growth. I mean, seriously, is this the society we want to live in, where we're all too scared to express ourselves in case we say the wrong thing? I predict in 10 years, if this woke nonsense doesn't stop, we'll all be talking to each other in computer binary code. 10010110, and then obviously someone will get offended by that and you'll have to change it. My serious question to anyone listening to this, in particular anyone who agrees with it, is this: where does it end? Is there an end point, or will it just keep going? Okay, that's it. It's just a short and sweet one today. Subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification button so you get informed when I've uploaded new videos. Check out my other videos of similar subjects also. Cheers. I nearly forgot, Jordan Peterson put up a killer tweet about this. Top man.